When we first met, he was very active in the music industry, hip hop in particular, and he was really good at it. He's super talented, loves to be on stage. He is a writer, so he wrote all his own music. He had all the ingredients to be successful. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is having realistic and obtainable goals. In grad school, we are taught about treatment planning and the importance of having realistic and obtainable goals. So when we meet with somebody, they tell us what they would like to achieve in therapy, and then we work together with them to figure out what is most important and what are we going to focus on. Sometimes we have to tailor those. For instance, if somebody comes to me and they are having problems with addiction, say, and they may say they plan to continue using, but they want to, still work on kind of slowly getting into a recovery with me. I may need to meet them where they're at. We can't make people do things that they're not ready to do, that they're not motivated to do. So then we have to adjust our expectations to be realistic and obtainable. So maybe it will be just continuing as is and then observing and kind of guiding them from there. And there's a lot of that happens in therapy. Sometimes we have these grand ideas of what will help somebody, but they're just not ready for it. So meeting people where they're at is very important in therapy. The topic, though, transfers really nicely into everyday goals and dreams that we have in life. So this is something that kind of applies to everything. The example that comes to mind right off the bat is my husband, and some of you know him. When we first met, he was very active in the music industry, hip hop in particular, and he was really good at it. He's super talented, loves to be on stage. He is a writer, so he wrote all his own music. He had all the ingredients to be successful. So on the surface, it seemed very realistic, and I supported this goal. We did it together for a few years, and we invested quite a bit of time and energy into it. And then we ran into a snag with the obtainable part. So there were some barriers there. It was before social media was such a thing. So it was really hard to get your name out there and to get your music out there at the time. We live in a small town in Pennsylvania that isn't exactly known for its culture and music industry. So we didn't have access to, the people within the industry. Networking, we didn't know anybody pretty much. We would set things up to go to New York City, Miami, but it was limited amount of time. There's only so much you can get done. And it was very frustrating. It was expensive. You have to invest a lot in that field just to try and, get any kind of exposure. So there was the money also. And then there's competition. There's a lot of competition in the field. And what I found most discouraging, quite honest, was the music industry is like the Wild West. I mean, there's no credentialing. Nobody has licenses. They all say that they're somebody when they're not. There's a lot of dishonesty, people kind of exploiting other people. It's a really rough field. So we had to kind of step back. And what I said to him at the time, this is I guess a good and a bad thing about having a wife that's a psychologist is sometimes I'm all right, let's pull out some clinical stuff here. But I said, hun, you have everything and it looks realistic, but it's not obtainable. Not unless we're going to uproot and move somewhere where we have more access and really sacrifice a lot for something that there really is, no guarantees. And the obtainable part was a problem, especially once we had a daughter and, I opened my practice. It just made it really difficult. And that really sunk in for him. He uses it, he does some speaking, and he uses it as, one of his talking points. It was like a moment for him where he had to step back and really be honest with himself and kind of regroup and adjust. And he did it really successfully. He kind of took a step back and said, all right, well, I have these skills. I'm a great communicator. I love being, he loves being on stage. He is very motivating to people. He's a great talker, and we thought sales. And so he got into real estate, and he did so well, so fast. And what really got him on the scene was his music. So he started writing rap music and doing rap videos related to real estate. And when he did that, his business went through the roof. So it's just like a great example of how, taking a look at your goals and being realistic about them can make all the difference, because there's some people that never really step back. And unfortunately, then they just feel like a failure. When really it's not a failure, it's just a matter of kind of adjusting and figuring out how to use your talents and skills in maybe a different way that's more obtainable. So, one thing about the concept is with things being realistic, not everybody's going to like this when I say this, and there's going to be people that probably disagree. There's this philosophy out there in culture and in our society that kind of states that anyone can do anything. If you just set your mind to it, you can do anything you want. And I find it extremely annoying because I don't believe that that's true. We are all, blessed with certain strengths and certain limitations. And it's a matter of figuring out what they are and being humble and pulling on your strengths and then having realistic and obtainable goals to achieve them. Like for instance, I test people I specialize in neuropsychology, so I test people's intelligence, and there are people who have an IQ of like 80, like in the low average range. They're never going to be an attorney. They're never going to be a medical doctor because they do not have the intellectual capability to do it. That's not being mean. That is being realistic. And even if they did manage to do it, they're not going to be a good doctor because people, doctors need to have really good analytical skills, and people with an IQ in that range tend to be very concrete. So we have to be realistic. If you have no musical ability whatsoever, you can't expect to be a great musician. If you aren't coordinated, you're not going to be a great athlete. So I really encourage people to especially, I don't know, with our kids, don't be telling them you could be anything you want. You just because then they feel like a failure when they can't. So I feel like as a parent, it's kind of like our job to say, hey, observe our kids, see what their strengths are, and nurture those strengths so that they can be successful in an obtainable way also. The obtainable part is maybe starting out, where you're at. There's a lot of young people, especially with social media, they see people being super, super successful in all different fields, and being famous. And really, these people are like outliers. It's like getting hit by lightning. It just doesn't happen very often, and it certainly doesn't happen overnight. So there's a lot of work involved. You have to have the resources, you have to have the skills, and you've got to have some luck. I mean, there's just some luck involved as well. So sometimes it's good to have dreams, but you have to have realistic and obtainable goals along the way, and then just kind of see how it goes along the way to see if you can obtain your dream or not. And if not, readjust. So that is my little speech on realistic and obtainable goals. We use it in psychology. You can use it in everyday life. I am interested in what people think. I've not been doing this very long, and I really encourage people to comment. If you agree or not, it's fine. Just be nice. Keep politics out of it. Please keep religion out of things. We're trying to keep things peaceful and productive here. If you want me to talk about a specific topic in psychology and my experiences, I'd be happy to do that if it would help anybody. I thank you for watching. Be safe out there. If you're on the East Coast, it's a snowy day, so take it easy. Stay home and be cozy. Take care.